Today we'll be continuing the bathroom and laundry room build. Alright guys, so last time you saw I did most of the framing here for my new laundry room and bathroom. So just a quick overview. This is the door coming in from my garage. My laundry has been here the whole time, but the one thing I don't really like is it's just out here in the same room as my living room and kitchen. It does get very loud when the washer and dryer are running, so I wanted to close that space off. Also create a dedicated mud room. I'll be able to put some hooks on the wall here, potentially a bench here as well. And then at the same time, I wanted to create a bathroom in this space. I knew all along that I wanted to have this here. I did have the initial builders put in a rough-in for a shower drain and also a toilet drain, which is right there. And so that's because my only current bathroom in here is through this door, which goes into my master, and then you have to go through my bedroom basically to get to the bathroom. So it'll be much nicer, especially now that I built this guest bedroom last year, to have a bathroom, a full bath out here, so that they could use that, and then any visitors that come in don't need to go into my bedroom to use the bathroom. And like I said, most of the framing is now complete from last video. I did a rough opening here for a sliding pocket door. This is a 24-inch, going to be a linen closet. I have a little bit more framing to do for that, for the inside of it, but I have the rough opening for the door. And then here is a rough opening for a standard 32 by 80 door, which will be the door going into the bathroom. And so the main focus today is going to be on plumbing. So the one thing that really controlled where I could place my walls was the location of this rough-in for my shower bathtub drain. And so when I had the place built, I really had no idea what was gonna go here. So they just kind of roughed this in a location that would be a little bit better for a stand-up shower where the drain is in the middle of the shower. But since I want to do a bathtub and shower combo, this actually ends up being pretty far from the wall. Normally you would want this right up against the wall so it lines up with your overflow here in the bathtub. So since this is so far out, I'm going to have to be doing a little bit of a unique setup. At least it's not like something you can just buy off the shelf. So luckily they did put some foam around the rough-in, so I have some flexibility. I can cut it lower. So I think I got all the parts I need to make that work, but the basic plan is to have that drain line up directly with the drain in the bottom of the bathtub. And that way it doesn't have to bring the bathtub too far out. It'll still be a little bit of a gap off that wall, which is okay because I kind of need room to set back my shower head rough-in and also the faucet rough-in. So I think my first goal is going to be getting that drain figured out. And then from there, I have where I'm gonna be tying in my drain for the sink, which is gonna be right here. So I'm basically gonna tee it off and then run it through this wall. This is a 2x6 wall. And then I'm gonna have to 90 it here, run it through this wall to roughly this location. And like I said, the toilet drain rough-in is already here, so there's really nothing more to do on that until I go to install the toilet. And once all the drains are figured out, I can focus on the feeds. The feeds are a little bit easier because you have a lot more flexibility with what you can do. You don't have to worry about dropping every foot or anything like that. And so this is my main feed for the house coming in. It actually goes under the floor here, and my water heater pressure tank are underneath the stairs over there. So that will be pretty easy. So these are 2 3/4-inch lines, so I'll tee off and then I will go to 1/2-inch lines. There's already the PEX tubing throughout the house, so I'll continue using the PEX and likely use the compression rings with the tool to crimp them. And basically what I need will be the hot and cold for the shower valve. I will need just a cold for the toilet, and then of course both will have to run through this wall to the sink. So that is the basic plan. Let's get started. Alright guys, so I wanted to quickly go over my tub drain setup here because it is a little bit unique. In efforts to keep the tub as far as I can to that direction, to the wall, I want to line up my drain that is in the floor with the actual drain in the tub. So a lot of times you line that up with the overflow, but I'm gonna do that. It saves me about 8 inches. So what I've got here is a straight 1.5 inch tub flange. So that has a 1.5 inch straight thread on it, not NPT thread. And that is what you need to thread your tub drain into. And so that was a little bit harder to find because normally these are a right angle, like I said, so it goes back to here. So I found that straight one. And then I got a normal kit to take out the gaskets, and then I could use the overflow as well. So then from that 1.5 inch, I have a small adapter here to go to 2. This is a 2 inch by 2 inch by 1.5 inches Y, because the overflow is going to be 1.5 inches. So then I just have some straight 1.5 inches of 45 degree, and then 1.5 inches up to the overflow flange. That came with the normal kit, and I can use that gasket and everything, should work fine. So I dry fit everything here to make sure I had my lengths right. So now the hardest part is going to be getting this onto my existing drain in the floor. So what I did down here is I cut it down to what should be the perfect height, so that when I put the Y onto that, it's going to be at the right height for the tub. And so I think what I'll do is I'll take this assembly off the tub, put it down into the hole onto the drain, and glue everything up, but also quickly put the tub in place to make sure that I have the height correct. And I'll preliminarily tighten that tub drain onto this flange so that everything sets at the perfect height. And I'll also leave this on loose just to make sure that I have the Y at the correct angle to line up with the overflow. Alright guys, so real quick before I close any of this up, I wanted to explain exactly what I did here. So here we have my main feeds from my house. So those are 3/4 inch lines. So I basically teed off of those, cold here, hot here, and teed into a 1/2 inch line. So for the hot, I've got the 1/2 inch going straight over to a T here, and then continuing on to the shower valve. And the shower valve, I did use adapters because there were NPT fittings on the shower valve. So I went straight to a 1/2 inch PEX to the 1/2 inch NPT. And that's the same adapter I use for the shower head and then also the cold side. Down here for the tub spout, I used a NPT to 3/4 inch PEX. And I do have this coupler here just because all I could find at the store was a male NPT, so I basically had to do a female to female coupler there. Then I've got a male 1/2 inch NPT to 3/4 inch PEX here. So a lot of times you want to do this in copper, and they do that because you don't want to reduce the internal diameter, because the internal diameter of a 1/2 inch PEX is less than a 1/2 inch copper. So that is the reason why I used 3/4 inch here, and then I went straight down to the 3/4 inch drop ear to 1/2 inch female NPT. That's where my tub spout will thread into. So I know there's a lot of different opinions on using PEX here, but I think because I use 3/4 inch, I should be fine. And I've got 3 screws in that drop ear, so that should be really solid. And then here for the shower head, it is totally fine to use 1/2 inch PEX, so that same adapter, 1/2 inch PEX up to a drop ear, and I just have that plugged right now along with the tub spout. So then basically the same thing for the cold. I come over to a T, and then I continue on to go to the right side of the shower valve. So then from these T's, I brought the 1/2 inch line down. I used these bend supports to try to minimize the amount of fittings I needed. So I brought both these horizontally, and then the bathroom feed tees off and straight down with another 1/2 inch line, and I used a copper stub out. And then this corner was a little more difficult, but I did use one of those bend supports in that corner because it would have been really hard to crimp. And then I continued the lines the whole way into this area for the sink feeds. And then down in here you can see what I did with the drain. So I cut into this 2-inch vent, and then I brought a 2-inch to 1.5 inch T. I did have to use this rubber coupling because I was not able to move this 2-inch line out of the way enough to use a regular glue-in coupling. So then I brought this 1.5 inch line, raising it basically 1/4 inch every foot. So that was easy because these are 2 foot on center, these studs here. So it was a 1/2 inch every stud. And then I brought it through, have a 90 in that corner, brought it the whole way over to where I think the center of my vanity will be. Alright guys, so I've made a lot of progress. I'm going to quickly go through everything that happened in this video. So as you saw, I did the drains first. So as I showed, I got the sink drain teed in behind this wall, and I did that first so that the tub wouldn't be in the way. Finished out the sink drain the whole way to where the vanity is going to be. And you might be wondering about a vent. Yes, normally you would have a vent going straight up here and then hooking into my other vent system. But since this is just about an 8-foot run to that vent, I'm going to get away with using a check valve. Basically, it's a one-way valve that will let air in right here. So I will tee that off under the vanity, and that should be plenty sufficient for just that sink. And once I had that done, I shifted over to the tub drain, and I showed you the details on what I had to do there. Got that all figured out. and then I could get the tub screwed to the walls. So I created this wall here, and like I showed before, I had to step that out because of where my drain was. But that provided a nice little cavity to house my shower valve and my drop ear for my shower head and my tub spout. And at that point, I had it secured to this wall, and then I went ahead and framed out my linen closet here. I wanted to wait to just make sure I knew exactly where my tub was sitting, so I could frame the linen closet along the tub there, and then along this wall. So you can see it's a decent space. So it's a 24-inch door opening, but inside it's a little bit wider than that, and then depth is also right around 24 to 26 inches. That will be plenty to give me some nice storage. And I already showed you the details. I worked on the feed lines. And yes, I did already pressure test this. There's actually water running in these lines currently because I tied it into my existing lines here and here. And so everything is capped off so I could turn that water on. And I did not have any leaks. I did use the go no-go gauge for all of the shark bite fittings. So I used the crimps, the solid crimps, not the pinch clamps. I used the copper rings, and yeah, you use that gauge to make sure that you are crimped enough, and I had no leaks. And so once I knew all my feed lines were good, I could go ahead with working on these shower walls. So as you saw, these actually came in 4 sections, basically this bottom half, the top half, and then each side here. You put the back wall on first, and then we put this right side wall on. And then for the left, we had to make sure we measured perfectly so we knew exactly where the hole was for the shower valve, and then also for the tub spout. And as you can see, we drilled and screwed that all around, so it is now secured to the walls. And the last thing I just got done was I put my pocket door kit together. I had to assemble it kind of on the floor, and then I got it into this space. It did go together pretty smoothly. I followed all of the directions to a T, and what happened was there was a big gap here between the track and the header, and that caused these holes here to be basically off this 2x4. They were right on the edge, so there was no way to easily screw that in without changing the brackets. So what I did was I did shim up the whole frame just a little bit with some regular wood shims, and that way I could pull this up a lot more so I could get all of those screws in to secure the frame to the header. So the only thing that will really do is pick my door up off the floor, but that's really probably not a bad thing, because if I do end up ever putting flooring in here, it will give me a little bit more clearance and I might not need to change the door at all. So now you can see a little bit more clearly how this is going to be. I have a solid slab door that's going to go there and then be able to slide right out of the way. So that's going to be it for today, guys. Let me know what you think of the progress. And next up is going to be all of the electrical.